Uh, Greetings, everybody. Greetings, everybody. Chimoge here again. You can see the title. Uh, it's okay. Now I can see the viewer count. Greetings once again. Chimoge here. All right, you can see the title. I'm going to be thinking about Sagittarius and Christmas. This is the first official thinking time I'll be doing this. Oh, this is warmed up over on the Gloria. Those are short of the live stream. Check that out. Music. Oh, forgive me, I'm tired today. I haven't had much to eat. As you all know, money has been tight for a while. Over the past, let's say like 10 days or so, money's been a little tighter than usual. Just because I didn't receive, the money I usually receive. And then as a result, I haven't had as much food as I wanted to, or as I need to rather. And then on top of that, I had a shipment of food, stuff I ordered online that's delayed, so it's not here yet. There's some food I ordered online. So appreciate contributions. Again, you can contribute both by buying something. So you have, there's art on Patreon you can buy. There's also clothes you can buy, both on Patreon with a subscription. I'll get to that in a minute. And at the merchandise store, which is on Streamlabs. You also have other merchandise you can buy, stickers and things like that, which are available both on the merch store and the subscription. You could also subscribe. The subscription on Patreon gives you access to my art as well as other benefits. There are many things. The highest level, you get access to the merchandise I was talking to as well as the other benefits. And the other benefits, there are many, but just to give one, there's the ability to vote to help determine the orders of certain videos, things like that. And then on top of that, you can donate. So you can donate via PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. And I'm going to highlight the company-wide Venmo, OZBengWoko, OZIIVENWUKU. That's the handle for all of them. So for PayPal and Venmo, it would be at then that. On Cash App, it's a $sign then that. And then I also want to highlight my GoFundMe, which I've talked about before. It's still not yet full. Who have registered a view, thank you very much. So those are ways to contribute. And then, of course, if you know me personally, you know other ways you can contribute. So, Zelle and things of that nature. And I just want to say one thing. This is a problem I've been having. This is both with relatives and non-relatives. There are people who know me who, even after I've given them information about what's gone on with me, and this has been over the last 2 years, they want me to either see them in person, and I'll just say they instead of giving me money or explaining why they can't give me money and helping some other way, they ask to either see me personally or get on the phone. Both of those have been wastes of time, especially when I've been at my lowest. I haven't had a lot of energy. And to be frank, if someone does not tell me what they think about what I've told them and is then vague about why they want to either meet or talk to me on the phone, that sounds like a confrontation, so I'm not doing that. And I want to talk about the most egregious instance of this. Again, this is an individual who my ancestors are telling me to have mercy on, so I won't give more information, but there are two things they did. One, they suggested I fly out of the country to meet them. It didn't make any sense. And two, they later suggested, without any explanation, and again, they're connected to other people who've done clear wrong, they suggested they come fly to see me. Again, I'll just say it like this. I'm not the person to come to without explanation and say, I think you're lying, or I think you're irresponsible. So that second meeting they talked about, that would not have ended well. So I rejected the meeting. And then, of course, if you think someone's irresponsible, one, I don't know why you're going to spend your money to fly to meet them. Two, I don't know why you fly them out of the country. And I don't know how you have money to do both of those things, but then you can't send me money. And again, this is blood gospel. I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, had a lot of egregious betrayals. If if they're confused, well, they need to take care of their health anyway. And this is the person I want to emphasize who can still repent, but thus far they've not repented. Anyway, having mercy on them. Mercy is not my thing, but I take the counsel of my ancestors. Sometimes they tell me to hold off on it. Anyway, let's get to the work for today. Let me blow my nose first. Give me a second. And one other thing, just because my energy is not at literal zero does not mean that I'm not in a tough spot, okay? People seem to think that as long as someone is not literally in the grave, they have the energy to get everything themselves, which is a crazy concept. I'll just leave it at that. Again, there are 24 hours in a day. How long have I been on this live stream? 6 minutes so far. Think about that. Anyway. And again, for the millionth time, I do a lot of off-the-screen work. Anyway. Again, you can send a phone call, you can't text, you can't read, but you can dial a phone number. I don't understand. Anyway. The whole point of that aside, one, I'm just trying to let people know more about why maybe I've not talked to them, because it looks like some people are not intelligent enough to see that. But two, for the wider audience, I'm just trying to let you know, again, why I'm asking for money, and then what has been going on with me. So you know why I've been moving in a certain way. Anyway, that's all. Oh. All right, let's get to thinking. What good? Paper for what I'm doing here. All right, first thing I'm thinking about, let's get the pen, is Sagittarius. Thank you. I know I have some viewers here. I've registered one. Some have been coming in and out. Anyway, so let's do Sagittarius. Central idea. Again, just because it bothers me a lot, I'll mention another very egregious instance from family members. These people who I hadn't seen in quite some time, but I had a connection to, were demanding that I fly to another state and quote unquote work for 1 month to get all the money I needed. Didn't make sense. Again, I just had a lot of weird things happen with my family, and then non-relatives, and I'll just limit it to that for now. But there's just been a lot of crazy things that are going on, and this has really impacted me negatively. Let me just say that. I wonder what job that is. 1 month you set for life. Okay. Anyway, let's focus on the idea. So I have my 4 quadrants here. Right. So when you think about Sagittarius, we're of course in what is now known as Sagittarius season. So the first part of the idea I want to look at is quickly. I want to call it language. Let's say terminology, because there's always the question of whether or not we're using the right terminology. Again, Sagittarius. Well, the word is typically used to refer to I'll just call it thing in astrology. Thing in astrology. So the time we're in now corresponds to the thing. Apparently, the thing rules over this time, and if you're born at this time, it has some special significance for you as a person. So let me go with terminology. And then let's use just it's terminology. So what should we call this thing? Secondly, it's weird. I guess what is it? Very vague. Unfortunately, a lot of these things we've been given, they're vague. When you look through it, there's a lot of helpful information, but it's vague. So let me just go, what is Sagittarius? Right. God. Who's your name? The energy of it. Fun fact: those high pitched sounds, if you put the right intention in it, you get rid of all bad energy. I mean, you know what I mean. It's not. You know what I mean. It's not. There's no. The one holder when he reaches his goal. That's the concept. This thing or person who can do all and everything all at once without any faults. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like basically, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna explain that. But anyway, high pitched sounds of that nature. They just got an alert. High pitched sounds of that nature. If you put the right intention to it, get rid of all bad energy, whether they're people or not. So it's good for clearing up energy in the space. And this unites forces. Yeah. Anyway. So what is Sagittarius? So it looks like so far, again, the central idea I'm learning starts out vague and then you congeal it. So the first aspect of Sagittarius I talk about is terminology. I guess what it's called and why, and then what other terms people are using for it. Secondly, what it is. Looks like I can start with the second one anyway. So it looks like when I'm presenting this idea, I should probably just talk about what it is. Say these are the terms I use. Probably just use the term Sagittarius because it's common. Table talk about terminology, and then afterwards say, all right, these are all the terminologies that I'm using, should be using. Wow, that's good. It's an affirmation there. Third, I guess where, I want to say where does it fit in astrology? Is that too narrow? Am I overthinking it? Let me just say connection to so-called astrology. That's the context I first heard about it in. To so-called, let's put that term, astrology. Abum diyor, abum giyecek, abum sisesu, abum sawale baba. Abum sawale morneka. What's quadrant 4? Honestly, no, let's see. I wanted to say I want to talk about its relation to my deal hub, but that's what it is. A fun fact from what I know, Sagittarius is another name for Kama, which can be used for all of the things my deal hub. Greater than mastery, production, Sagittarius, the archer, same thing anyway, basically. Registered viewer, thank you very much. It's number 4 here. I would say applications for self-defense, because as soon as I think of the archer, I think of self-defense. So, Sagittarius, Karata, oh wow, that's interesting. Karata, greater than the bite, the art of self-protection. Apparently the same thing. according to my ancestors. Interesting. Let's look into that. The Archer. And that thing comes into being as an animal commonly called the rhinoceros now. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Interesting. So that'll be a good expansion. And then that'll connect to what is it. So see what my research turns up on that. Also, one other thing I want to note, again, that incident with flying me out of the country really annoyed me. I just don't even want to say this. Here we go. So let me keep that to myself. Forgive me. Sometimes I'm like, do I want to add this? No, let me keep it to myself. Because there have been too many people who conspired against me, either consciously or through a congealance of stupidity. For me to not be constantly angry. So anyway, let me keep that to myself. But well, I'll just say it like this: at that time, there was no way I could travel out of the country. No permanent place to stay. Very tired, low on food, low on energy. How am I gonna get on a plane? And it was a location I'd never been to before. Crazy, crazy nonsense. Anyway. I just have to look at it. Sagittarius. Alright, so here's a central idea for Sagittarius. You'll be seeing that apply very soon. Alright, let me get myself another piece of paper. I don't want to use this as a backdrop. I want it to be fresh. Some extra paper. Okay, now we're thinking of Christmas, my least favorite holiday. Yes, I'm that guy, except I'm reasonable. Not over talk. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like Christmas anyway. You should meet with your family once a month or whatever to eat. Shouldn't be a big event, and then you're obsessed with physical things. You buy gifts and nonsense. You give gifts to kids, they throw it away the next day. Why don't you just consistently help them? Don't just get them a toy once a year and think you did something anyway. It's a lot of stupidity in the world. Ugh. Messi. Anyway, calm on. Messi. Messi. Interesting divination. Lord have mercy. Okay, first thing, let's talk about the name. What's the origin of the name? The name just say all. Yeah, I probably don't for this one have to begin. Well, it would be best. I could give a rundown on what it is, but everyone in the world knows what Christmas is at like a eye glance level. If you go deeper, people in their hearts know it's not good. But again, I'm not the guy who's saying gathering with friends is bad, gathering with family is bad. That's not my thing. It's just, is that the only time you do that? No. And then all the other stuff surrounding it, is that good? No. So overall, it's not a good thing. Just the good part, systematize it. The bad, forget it ever happened. Anyway. Oh, Lord have mercy. Again, I've talked about my own financial situation here. Pray for everyone else who's suffering. A lot of people are now. Just to give some context, a lot of financial suffering is occurring the world over, and it's been reaching places it doesn't normally reach. For example, there have been reports that people who graduated from Harvard. Of course, I'm in this statistic, but well, I'm related to the statistic because I'm self-employed. But a lot of people who graduated from Harvard have not been able to find employment, as in these people have been seeking to work for other individuals and they haven't been able to find it. There was a report within the last year that about 23% of the graduates from Harvard Business School, so this is not even undergraduate, Harvard Business School, were unable to find employment after 23 months. There are other instances of individuals who graduated from Harvard. Again, this is the school with the most clout, not able to find work. There's been other instances of college graduates in the U.S. who sent out thousands of applications, not received a job. There have been reports of that in Canada as well. There have been mass layoffs all over the place. So there's just no consistency. So anyway, shout out to everyone who's struggling and trying. And please, hang on to everyone tight. And just I'll give another thing for context. This is just a big dip that is built upon many past structural weaknesses. Because, for example, according to data from places like the Bureau of Labor Statistics and other similar institutions that keep track of these things, of people who they consider to be labor force age, so that's about between the ages of like 16 and 64, over the last, I'll just limit it to say since 2000. Generally speaking, only about 65% of these people across the board, right, that's across all races, have been employed according to their metrics. So that's both employed by other people and self-employed, right? So what does it mean if about 35%, that's more than a third of adults in that category, can't find work? It's mass economic inequality. So there it is. Anyway, I'll go into that more comprehensively in the future, but I'm just giving context for that. So yeah, anyway, pray for everyone and then please act. Don't be so bougie you can't send your relative, especially because when it comes to financial problems, The people you really should have in your savings the most are your blood relatives, that you can't send them some money. But then also any other people you know who you see often. Don't be so bougie you can't have them back. Anyway, thank you very much. God, expand further. Anyway. Okay, so there's the name. And then what it is. This is the pattern for me. I guess I look at the name, term, something, and then what it is. What is Christmas? That's a complicated question. Fun fact, based on my research, it wasn't even commonly celebrated in the West until about 1870. So if you have the idea that Christmas has been celebrated by so-called Christians for 2,000 years, that's not true. In fact, many groups used to think it was evil, and you can see remnants of that in groups such as Jehovah's Witnesses who don't celebrate holidays. So anyway, and again, I'm not against times of celebration. I just think this one is bad. I want to emphasize that because there's a lot of party poopers who don't want us to celebrate anything. That's not me. I just think that, if you center a holiday around cutting down trees and then just giving junk to your kids, it's not it. Anyway. And I'll just say, Imarala. Okay. So far the Christmas idea, first the name, and then what it is. I think category 3, that'll be the economic cost, Christmas. And I think fourth, its impact on family. I think it's actually negative because it lets people only tune into their family one day a year. So, yes. Yeah, I think this is kind of a simple one, but then there'll just be a lot for me to talk about. Do this right anyway. So right or wrong answer when it comes to these things. Talking about how I drew it up, the colors I use, and things of that nature. Symbols. Kevin, AKG. Impact on family. Uh, Roberta Cadillac, the second verse son. Lema, the second verse son of my good. Good. Let's all be good. Huh? Ooh, I got new symbolism here. Talk about that more in the future. All right. Okay. Ooh. So here's the idea. Thank you for joining me. I think I'll just do some personal thinking time because there's some behind the scenes stuff I want to think about as well. I know I've said before I want to try not to go more than 30 minutes. Well, I guess today I'm going longer. I think I'll say that's a good general principle. There's some exceptions. I think today might be an exception. I want to clarify that in the future. I'll just say that for now. I don't want to say too much. I am tired. But let me take some personal thinking time. Again, like this video, share it with those you know. You'll see these ideas I just created on the Patreon, other places, and then you'll see the extensions everywhere and my videos, other live streams, music, things of that nature. Art, of course. So again, you can purchase my art. You can also purchase my merchandise, clothes, stickers, things of that nature, both on Patreon and in the Streamlabs merch shop. And then you can also donate on Venmo and PayPal at OZBangWuku, at OZBangWuku. You can also donate on Cash App, $ OZBangWuku. I'll put those on the paper now and actually spell those for you guys. And then there's also my GoFundMe I've talked about before. That still can be filled. Again, I still need funds, but you have many options. You can donate, and then you can also purchase something. So yeah. Here you go. Purchase, subscribe. Making this look weird anyway. your options to contribute. Just put them up. I added some more. You can take a screenshot of this now, just so you know all your options. Many ways to contribute. You can find them in my About section and also on Patreon. Thank you very much. Anyway, let's take that personal thinking time. I'll sit down now. I'm tired. Still figuring out the exact balance between standing and sitting. Thinking of these little things for health reasons and all that. Just in general. But anyway, I find when I sit, my energy tends to just go away. But eventually I have to stop standing. But anyway, let's go. Okay. Ooh, it's quite a bump. This is what I should do. I should do the two idea generations and then take some personal thinking time. You call it personal or private? I don't know. It's private. Thank you for everyone watching, both now and in the future. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's think. Richard, 3 viewers at once. Thank you very much. Let's see. Just another view. Thank you very much. Okay, I think I'm done. I won't share the full paper of these private notes I took, but I'll just share. Will I share? I'll share the last 2 points. One, I'm thinking of, in particular, how to take notes to keep track of all my posts. I'm thinking of improving my system for that. So that's one thing. I just put it down as note taking here on the paper. And the second thing, something I've been thinking about, really been nagging at me, is I'm thinking of my strategy for creating and posting what I'll just call articles in writing. Put it down as a coincidence, a form of that. It's not a thing, right? Shout out to everyone who writes. Very necessary, very difficult. A lot of elements to it. Anyway, thank you very much. Again, at the beginning and a bit at the middle of this live stream, I mentioned my financial situation, family troubles. I've talked about it before. I just want to go into it again. But one thing I'll note before I think of what to say is that, again, several traumatic incidents led to this, and those incidents trigger me, and I get things like muscle spasms when I try and talk about them in depth. So I know I can't literally say everything. I'm just trying to think to make sure I know my parameters. Give me a second here. Okay, let's see. So first thing I'll say is that if you want to see what I said about this previously on video, check out my video on Shimoge's comments, which is this one. It's one of the favorite network I'm on. called "My Family Abused and Abandoned Me." My family abused and abandoned me. As of the time of recording this live stream, I believe it's like my third most popular video. So an easy way to find it is if you go to my pre-recorded video section and look at my most popular videos. If you just organize them from most least popular, you'll see it up there. Probably the third most popular one. So that's one. Again, the title is "My Family Abused and Abandoned Me." You can write that down. "My Family Abused and Abandoned Me," because that's a quick way of summarizing what happened. And then you can also look at on Moge, the personal channel, both of my personal statements. You can look at both of my personal statements, or sorry, not personal statements, emergency announcements. Emergency announcements. Let me say that again. You can check out both of my emergency announcement videos that talked about some other things that went on. Now, I'm just going to think of two things to talk about to give more detail on that situation. Let me just think two things I can say that will give more context, but I can also get out without feeling too bad. Okay, point one. I was put in a situation in August 2021 where I had to move to Atlanta with my younger sister because she made a very stupid decision that put herself in jeopardy, and none of the rest of my family reacted to it properly. So I was put in a position where I had to choose between letting her go off by herself and be in a position where she could have been seriously hurt because she was already struggling, or then moving with her and completely uproot her life. I chose the second one just because my family was not reacting to that situation. So I just thought it would be really bad if we had a situation where she got seriously hurt. And I was not able to plan the move because I was in a bad work situation. Again, at the time, I was working for my biological father, Anthony Ube, I mentioned before. I was working for him initially as it was a stopgap measure. He abused my presence at his company. He abused his role as my employer, made that period go on too long, occupied too much of my time. And mind you, I was already sick. I had health issues, so I was pushing through that to help him. Because again, he was in a situation where he could have, really his business could have closed. I'm not sure if he understood that, and maybe if he did, he had some countermeasures he didn't tell me about. Again, this is a man who lies a lot and does a lot of financially wasteful things. So to summarize that, I already just took a gamble and said, let me just make sure his business is straight in a tough period he was going through because of poor planning. And then he extended that period too long for reasons I'm not completely sure of. Long story short, because of that calamity, I wasn't able to plan the move for myself, but I just went because I said, that looks bad. So I was in a situation where I was living with her, which is not ideal. Would have wanted my own space. And then my sister ended up abusing me throughout that period, and she ended up attacking me in a way that left both physical and emotional scars, and then that led to other attacks and things. So I've talked about that more. That's all I'll say on that, both for appropriateness of the platform and also I don't trigger myself. So the whole point of that is that, one, that set me up to not have, there were other things. I mentioned my illness as well. That, of course, made it worse. But that contributed heavily to me not having as much money as I needed to support myself. And again, I want to add in the concept we have in society today of one person covering all their bills is crazy. This is not natural. Everyone should have everyone else's back. People should be working hard. People should be contributing to everything. but it's not normal or natural that we think everyone is quote unquote God and is going to support themselves. So anyway, but nonetheless, I could have been in position to be Christ like everyone else, but this situation prevented that. That's the first thing I'll say. And again, I'm just giving context to my financial situation. And the second thing I'll add is that, again, I have a permanent place to stay now, but I'm not really happy with it because I was tricked into a situation where my aforementioned biological father, Anthony Ebe, has his name on my lease. And let me describe that for a second. So, towards the end of the sister situation, what happened was it was untenable. I needed another place to stay. So I asked my biological father, again, I was not on good terms with him because of his own problems, okay? It's an insufferable person, I'll leave it at that. But, I was still, I still had a connection to him in terms of being able to communicate. So again, this is a man with a lot of money. I asked him if he could give me money for a place to stay for 1 month, an emergency measure. He refused. And then he gave me the runaround and ended up taking an attack on me. And then even after the attack, he refused to make up for it by giving me enough money to have a place to stay, and was also trying to entice me to return to my childhood living place in Maryland, which again made no sense because I was in Atlanta and I'd been there for 2 years. Makes no sense. Whatever. And for context, right, my upbringing was rough in terms of social situations. So because of that, when I got out of college, I just didn't know that many people living in Maryland I had a strong connection to. So, there was just nothing there for me socially, really. I'm not saying there wasn't like one or two people I was in contact with, if there weren't a couple people in the area that I messaged every now and again, but that's not enough to sustain socially. And again, when I said the area there, I mean the DC metropolitan area, right? So if, for example, there's someone I know in Montgomery County who maybe texts me once every 6 months, that's not enough for me to say, let me live in PG County. Let me just leave it at that. So, long story short, Anthony wouldn't help me. So, I went about, posting, making content at an accelerated rate to get funds to survive. I was moving about from different Airbnbs for a few months. That was a rough period. I had some people who helped me during that period. Thank you to those people. But again, I didn't receive enough help to get a permanent place to stay. And some people were not able to help me consistently. Not bad on them, it's just they had some stuff going on. Anyway, so then this was at the end of 2023. At the beginning of, really in December 2023, I was told by someone that they have, through a connection of theirs, they found a place for me to stay for 3 months, an apartment. And what I was told is that, how much information you got? What I was told is that they, through a connection of theirs, they found an apartment where I could stay for 3 months if the rent was paid off. And again, I know usually people would have terms of longer than 3 months of an apartment, but this is what I was told. This was someone I trusted. And then, at some point, it's like if you're down and out with nowhere to stay, you're just like, whatever, let's go here. So I turn up to the apartment, I look at the lease, and my biological father, who had not been mentioned, his name is on the lease. So my main concern is that Anthony would come here for another consecration, because this is a violent person. So that was problem one. Problem two, during 2024, because it ended up being that the lease was on a it was the lease term was like 8 months, and then and again, I received no communication about these details. I had to find it myself. The lease term was like 8 months, and it was rent was to be paid on a monthly basis. But there were a couple times there in 2024, Anthony, who again, by getting in this arrangement, had implicitly agreed to pay the rent, although he'd not repented for what he'd done. He'd not communicated with me in a positive way, barely communicated with me at all. I received a few insulting emails. And he also did not apologize for what he'd done. Again, didn't give me enough money to obtain my basic needs, so things were still hard. But anyway, this is a man with money. During that period, there were a couple months he didn't pay the rent, and I almost got kicked out. And again, this whole time I'm working, trying to get enough money for myself. So, long story short, that was unstable. Since then, I've had the lease renewed. Things have been more stable, but then, just some weird things have still happened, and all the things is that. Long story short, I still don't have enough money to, and again, I'm just going to say it like this because we live in a very overly individualistic society, because this is the standard, although it's not really healthy. I'll go into that in the future when I'm talking more about economics. But let me just say I'll go into that. If you're really that individualist, I can't take you down if you're hard enough to grasp. But anyway, the whole point is I'm still looking for enough money to make sure I can cover all my expenses myself. Another and maybe better way of saying that is I'm still working so that I have enough money to have backup for myself. So that's why this situation is still hard. And again, still in a situation where Anthony's name is on my lease, and this is a volatile person, and I don't completely understand what's going on his end, but it seems like one main factor in things being more stable is just I've simply, talked about what's happening publicly, and that put pressure on him. If there are other factors, I don't know. Whatever it is, no excuse for this type of treatment. So I'm still looking for money for that. And then I also need money for medical treatment. In particular, I'll go back to this for a second. The attack that my sister leveled against me, it's caused a physical injury on my left side. And then, also emotional trauma. So I'm looking for money to get healthcare to fix that issue so I can operate better. So that's the broader context. But in the middle of all that, oftentimes, I haven't had enough money to buy as much food as I need. Again, I've, as a reaction to this, I've, I guess I'll say, improved the way I eat so that I can survive on smaller amounts of food to be more efficient. But again, that's not ideal. It's a backup function. So I'm looking to get out of the backup function area. And then in particular, over the last couple of days, I just have not had enough money to buy that much food. Right now, I don't have enough money to even buy one meal. So that's me being transparent. And one other thing I want to say, I'll just leave it at that. So that's further context for my money ask. But anyway, thank you very much. I want to emphasize that to help me financially, you can both get something for yourself as well as just donate. Because I sell things. It's a business. So here are your options. You can buy my art, you can donate, you can buy merchandise, you can subscribe. And then, of course, you can keep watching my videos. You can share my videos, both my live streams and my pre-recorded videos. And yeah, just help me keep this going. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.